I haven't done one of these videos in a really long time. I have a huge fascination with Lego pieces that Lego discontinues and then brings back after extended times. Sometimes they'll go decades upon decades before they put the same piece in the same color in another set again. So I've been compiling a list. I've done at least one other of these videos, maybe two, I can't remember. And I thought I had 10 pieces, but one of them, when I type in the number, it doesn't pop up as anything. So I must have written it down incorrectly, so I guess I only have 9 pieces for this video. Hopefully the rest of them are all there. Usually I like to wait until I have 10, so maybe at some point I'll figure out what this piece was that I thought I had written down that doesn't actually exist. So this will be 9 pieces that took like at least a decade, if not longer, before Lego put them in another set. Actually, for piece 2, I have it in 2 different colors, so maybe we'll go ahead and count that as 10 since they did this twice with the same piece, but in 2 different colors. And that is part number 40243, which is a spiral staircase piece. So the first color they did this with was light bluish gray. They released it in 1 set in 2006, and that was the Bat Cave, the Penguin and Mr. Freeze Invasion, set 7783. And then they just re-released that piece in 2024, so close to 20 years, 18 years apart, in the Dungeons and Dragons Red Dragon's Tail, set 21348. That piece in light bluish gray has only ever been in those 2 sets, and it took 18 years for them to put that piece in light bluish gray back in a set. The other color they did this with was tan. So it originally came in Professor Lupin's classroom in 2004, set 4752. And then they didn't put it in another set until 2023, which was Heart Lake City Community Kitchen Friend set 41747. So again, nearly 20 years in between. That one's 19 years difference. And the spiral staircase piece in tan has only ever been in those 2 sets. Next up, we have part number 6081, just like a curved slope piece. Obviously, I'll put pictures of everything on screen, but that piece in dark turquoise. Originally, that piece in dark turquoise was only in 1 set. It was a Belleville set from 2004, set 5940. It's called Dollhouse, only in that set. And then randomly they brought it back in 2019, and it's been in close to 10 sets since 2019. So between 2004 and 2019, it was not seen in another set. So 15 years, that's a long time for a piece to go in a color before bringing it back. And now it's pretty popular. So that piece probably had some value to it at the time, but certainly not anymore. Next up, we have a very classic piece, which is an arch. Piece 2339, which is that like continuous bow arch. Love that piece in the color green. So originally that piece was only ever found in Rescue from the Mer People in 2005, which is at 4762. And then they finally brought it back in 2024 for that amazing Wicked set. Welcome to Emerald City, set 75684. So again, nearly 20 years, and still those are the only 2 sets that piece has ever come in. So I do know people, they will buy 10 of a set and part them out, so I'm sure that has brought the value down some. Still to only be in 2 sets ever, it's probably still got a little bit of value to it, but who knows, there could be more sets coming that use that piece. Next up, we just have a plain sand blue 1x2 tile, part number 3069. This piece wasn't exclusive to a particular set. It was in a few sets between 2002 and 2004. So it was in a couple Mission Deep Freeze sets, a Studio set, and a Harry Potter set. So 4 sets between 2002 and 2004, but then they didn't put it in another set again until 2016. Since then, it's been in dozens of sets. So if it had any value originally, it certainly doesn't have any value now, at least as far as like exclusive parts go. Next up, we have part number 4490, which is a little 1x3 arch, but specifically in the color blue. I actually discovered this when I got the Caribbean Clipper. That was the set it originally came in. It was exclusive to that set, which came out in 1989, and the Caribbean Clipper's set number is 6274. But then in 2019, they finally released it in another set. Set 31094 Race Plane, which is like a little creator set. So that one made it 30 years without ever being in another set, and it's not been in any set since then. So here's wondering if it'll take another 30 30 before it appears in another set. I love the little 1x3 arch in blue, so it is a piece I think they should bring back. Honestly, arches should be available in every imaginable color. They're such a useful piece. And the tiny little arches are a lot of fun. There's so many great ways to use them, so here's hoping it doesn't take 30 years to see that one again. Next up, we have just a little ladder piece. Part number 4175 in the color white. So originally that piece was released in a handful of sets between the 80s and 90s. Not many, somewhere between like 5 and 7 sets maybe. And then it was not used in another set until 2020. So between 1991 and 2020. So nearly 30 years between the last time it was used and current. It was used as recently as 2024, so we'll see if 2025 has any sets with that piece in it as well. But it seems like such a generic piece, a little ladder in the color white. You would think that would have been a necessary piece for all of LEGO history. This next one was one I was actually looking for something I was going to use it in my LEGO world, and I thought it was going to end up being like a very generic, easy to find piece, but I realized they only recently brought it back, so it's still a little bit too expensive for what I'm wanting to pay because I needed it like in mass production. And that's just this little cylinder piece with an axle hole. Part number 3941 in the color translucent red. So originally that piece was only released in 2 sets in 2005 and 2007, both of which were Ferrari sets. And then it wasn't brought back until 2021, again for a Ferrari set. But since then it's been used in a few more sets that aren't Ferrari related, 3 of which were released in 2024. So I have a feeling this piece will probably be used a little more frequently since we had 3 sets alone released in 2024 with that piece. So maybe eventually I'll be able to use it in bulk in my LEGO World display. But right now, it's just a little bit too expensive for me to buy dozens of them without it getting very expensive very quickly. This last one was a recent discovery. This is a classic piece, the little 1x2 log brick piece. Part number 30136 in the color yellow. Quite honestly, I didn't even know that piece existed in the color yellow. And I guess that's for good reason, because it was originally only released in 2 sets between 2005 and 2006. It's the clone turbo tank. It's just a matter of whether it was with the light up Mace Windu or the regular Mace Windu, I guess, of that time. And that's set number 7261. There was one set in 2003 as well called Land Busters. And then it didn't come back until 2019. So just those sets between 2003 and 2006. And then it didn't come back until 2019. Junkrat and Roadhog, which is an Overwatch set 75977. Pretty interesting piece. There are actually a couple other colors that I when I was going through the list, I discovered that piece came in. I guess I'd never really thought about it. I think about it in like tan or brown or reddish brown, something like that. So I was interested to see how many different unique colors that piece comes in now. So I always like doing these types of videos because I find this stuff very interesting, especially as a reseller. When I'm sorting through bulk lots and I see a piece that looks very generic and then I find out that it's actually a very rare piece, I like to keep a list of those. I have a fairly photographic memory when it comes to that kind of stuff. I am always keeping a mental log, but I try and make these types of lists to share with other people, because wouldn't you just hate to be sorting through a bulk lot and then finding out a piece, oh, you're like, oh, it comes in red, that's a generic piece. And then you find out it's $100 piece or something like that. So it's always nice to know when pieces have come back into production, because stuff that used to be valuable now no longer has the value. It's also a good reminder that if you are a reseller, that unless the color has been discontinued, there's no guarantee LEGO won't re-release a piece decades later. Then pieces you might have been stockpiling might suddenly be worthless. So always something to think about. So I hope you found this video at least a little bit interesting if you're not a reseller, or maybe helpful if you are. But either way, this is how my brain works, and this is what I enjoy spending my time kind of researching. So thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time.